Good morning to all. In this video, we are going to see about PLSQL of DBMS, that is Database Management System. Then PLSQL functions. This is syntax for defining PLSQL function. Create or replace function, function name, then parameter type. So return type, we can use the keyword is or we can use the keyword as. Then begin exception end. We'll see an example for this. This is example for PLSQL function. Create or replace function. Function name is factorial. Okay. Return type is number. Is for defining that number, we are giving the variable, declaring the variable f. Okay. Then actual logic begin. If x is equal to 0, then f is equal to 1, else f is equal to x into factorial of x minus 1. This is the formula for calculating the factorial value. Okay. Then finally end if return f. So already we have declared the variable f number. Using that number, we are passing or returning the value to the calling function. And finally end section. This is simple example for PLSQL functions. Now we have defined the PLSQL function. The next step is we have to call that function. How we can call that function? See, one more block we have to define, that is declare num number result number begin num is equal to 5, result is equal to factorial of num. For calling that function, we have to pass the values. For example, we are going to calculate the factorial of 5 means we have to pass the number 5 to that function. Okay. Then that function will calculate the factorial of 5 and returning the result. A result factorial of none. Then finally we are displaying the value, that is result. So an example using queries. So far we discussed about normal programs, normal PLSQL functions and blocks. Here how we can use queries inside the block. See, let us assume we have the table called customers. Okay, select star from customers. So we have 6 rows with some column values like name, age, address, salary. Okay, see this create or replace function total customers. Now we are defining functions using queries. Return number is total number of 2 is equal to 0. We are assigning some default value, that is 0 to the return value number. Begin select count of star into total from customers. Now we are writing the SQL query for counting number of records present in the table, that is return total. If we execute this function, it will return or count number of records present in the. How we can call this? We are going to see how we can call this function. See the syntax. Declare number begin c is equal total customers. We are calling the function here. Call this function, it will return number of rows present in the current table. That is 6 rows. If we execute this tbms output put line function, then it will give the result as 6. This is how we have to call the PLSQL functions. So far we have discussed about PLSQL blocks and functions. Now we know what is a function, how to write function, how to execute function. In the same way, we have the concept called as PLSQL cursor. The cursor is nothing but memory area in your heap. Okay. Oracle creates a memory area known as context area for processing an SQL statements. Okay. Each and every SQL statements, while processing, it has separate memory area. This memory area is called as PLSQL cursor, which contains all the information needed for processing the statement. For example, number of rows processed, etc. Simply, we can say cursor is a pointer to this context area. The information about SQL queries are stored in the context area. If you want to access those information, we can use the cursor. Cursor is nothing but pointer to that context area. PLSQL controls the context area through a cursor, and cursor holds rows written by the SQL statements. This set of rows the cursor holds is referred to as active set. You can name a cursor so that it could be referred to a program to fetch and process the rows written by the SQL statements one at a time. Okay, this is about cursor. So cursor is nothing but the pointer to the context area where we can store the result about your SQL queries. Okay. There are two types of cursors. One is implicit cursors, another one is explicit cursors. We will see what is by implicit, what is by explicit. The first one is implicit cursor. Okay. Implicit cursors are automatically created by Oracle. It's like a inbuilt. It's like this pointer in programming language. Automatically, it will be created by your database. Okay. Whenever an SQL statement is executed, when there is no explicit cursor for a statement, that time automatically your implicit cursor will be created. Programmers cannot control the implicit cursors and the information in it. Whenever a DML statement like insert, update, delete is issued, an implicit cursor is associated with this statement. So default one. We don't need to create explicitly. For insert operations, the cursor holds the data that needs to be inserted. Okay. In the same way, for update and delete operations, the cursor identifies the rows that would be affected. So cursor contains the details like how many records inserted, how many records updated, and how many records deleted. All these things will be stored in the implicit cursor. In PLSQL, you can refer to the most recent implicit cursors as SQL cursor. Okay. This is name of the cursor, SQL cursor. It always has attributes such as found, is open, not found, row count, bulk row count. Okay, so all those things. We'll see one by one. The first attribute is percentage found. If any records found, it will return true. If an insert, update, or delete statement affected one or more rows, or a select into statement return one or more rows, it will return the value true. Otherwise, it will return false. The return value of this attribute is true or false. If any rows inserted or updated or deleted, then it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Not found is opposite to found. The logical opposite of found is not found. It returns true if an insert, update, or delete statement affected no rows. If this process is not happening, then it will return true. Or select into statement return no rows. Otherwise, it will return false. It's opposite to found. Is open, the next one, always returns false for implicit cursors because Oracle closes the SQL cursor automatically after executing its associated SQL statement. So in implicit cursor, the default value is false for this attribute. Is open is always false. Row count, it returns the number of rows affected by an insert, update, or delete statement by a select into statement. Row count, how many rows inserted, how many rows updated, and how many rows deleted. These details can be known using this row count attribute. Example query, select star from customers. It contains 6 rows and some columns like name, age, address, salary. Let us assume this table, consider this table. Okay, if we execute this row count, so what is the result? See this cursor. Declare the cursor name is total rows, type is number, begin, update customers, set salary equal to salary plus 500. Inside the begin part, we are placing all these cursor statements. Here the query is update cursors, set salary is equal to salary plus 500. This is the query. If we execute the query, okay, let us assume we have executed the query. After that, if SQL not found, then okay, if table is not present, then it will return this, no customer selected. Okay, else if SQL found, okay, we have updated the salary. Okay, actually we have updated the salary here using that query. If it is updated, then SQL found will be executed. Total rows is equal to SQL row count. How many rows will be, how many rows is updated? This affected rows count will be returned using this SQL percentage row count. Okay. Then we are displaying that many number of customers selected or updated. Okay, this simple example for PLSQL cursor. First one is declaring the cursor. How? Select ID, name, address from customers. It's a declaration part. For example, cursor C customers is, C customer is your cursor name. What is the option? Select ID, name, address from customers. Okay. Then we have to open the cursor. What is the cursor name? C customer. So that should be open using open command. Open C customers. Next, fetching the cursor. Fetching C customers into CID, C name, C address. Cursor. So all those contents like ID, name, address is stored in this variable CID, C name, C address. After fetching the values from the cursor, we have to close the cursor. Okay. These are all the steps we have to follow while writing cursor. Hope you have understood all these concepts like blacks, functions, and cursors, type of cursors in PLSQL. Okay. So all the best. We'll meet in the next video. Thank you.